the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here evening, the final couple of hours in the year 2026, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. The only thing I hate about the fact that when we wake up in the morning, it'll be the month of May, is that coming up on Monday, since it'll be May the 4th, everybody will be saying, May the 4th be with you. And I am not a Star Wars fan at all. Good evening, Keveron. Glad to have you here. But all day long on Monday, you'll be seeing Star Trek logos and Star Trek symbols and Star Trek AI stuff, not Star Trek, Star Wars. And folks will be saying, May the 4th be with you all day long. So I dread Monday. But on to tonight's video. As you can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be doing my 5th college football 2026 prediction video. It'll be my 5th team of the season. I'll do that in a couple of minutes. But first, I want to briefly talk about the college basketball expansion. And honestly, I haven't heard one person say they like it, they love it, they're in favor of it. I've heard some say it doesn't matter because, none of the teams they're adding are going to win it all, and I'm not going to stop watching it because they're adding teams. But the majority of people are saying it's dumb, it's stupid, it's idiotic. But I haven't heard one person say, oh, yeah, I love it. Because it's the same thing I always talk about with college football, continuously adding to the playoffs. Because eventually we're going to be at 24 teams, because what you're doing is you're watering down the regular season. Because if you play in the SEC or the Big Ten in football, if you're a big-time team, if you go 9-3, you're in the playoffs. So if it comes November and you're undefeated, you can rest every one of your couple of games, because if you lose, you're still going to the playoffs. Hey there, I'm going to assume that's Bodix or Bodix. If I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. Well, college basketball is the same way now. You're adding, 8 teams. And really what you're doing is you're adding teams from the Big Ten and the SEC. But none of the teams you're adding are going to win it all. If 15 and 16 seeds and 14 seeds can't win it all, then 18 seeds and 19 seeds aren't going to win it all. But all sports are doing it, and that's why I've always said your real name is Shan, okay, or Sean. Well, either way, glad to have you here. Really appreciate you checking out the channel. If it's your first time here, for whatever reason made you stop by the channel, thank you very much. Feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends, tell your family about the channel, and share the video on all social media platforms. But once you expand it, people are never going to be happy, and they're going to want more and more and more. College basketball used to be 32 teams, then it was 48, then it was 64, now it's 68, it's fixing to be 76. Baseball used to be the only teams that made the playoffs was the teams that won their division. If you didn't win the division, you didn't make it. The NFL used to have one wild card, and then they expanded it and expanded it again. The NBA has 30 teams in the whole entire league. But now that they have the play-in games, 20 of the 30 teams in the NBA go to the playoffs. That's 2/3 of the entire league. You might as well just give everybody a trophy for participating. That's what you're doing, because if you win 37 games in the NBA, you're in the regular season. You're in the playoffs. So you can finish 8 games below 500 in the NBA, and you're still going to the playoffs. My name is Brandon. Thank you for asking. That's why the channel is called Ref Brandon. and the Todd family, because I do have my family in videos every now and then, but generally, most of the time, usually, it is just me. And again, thank you for being here, whether your name is Shan or Sean. Either way, thank you for being here. But see, back when Major League Baseball expanded to the playoffs, it was to better the sport. Because one year, many years ago, when the Braves were in the National League West, they won 104 games and won the division. The Giants won 103 games and missed the playoffs because the Braves won the division. And baseball was like, wait a minute. You know, the Giants was 103 and 59. They shouldn't miss the playoffs just because of how good the Braves are. So let's trade a wild card. Made great sense. And you always see in the NBA and in Major League Baseball wild card teams winning the whole doggone thing. It happens. But that was to better the sport, because you have a team win 100 plus games, they should be in the playoffs. But now what college basketball is doing is not bettering the sport. You're making more money. There's a difference in expanding for the sport to make the sport better and expanding for money. Back in the day, you expanded for the sport. Now you're expanding for money, and there's a difference. But on to tonight's prediction video. It'll be my fifth one. I did LSU. I picked them to go 10-2. Florida State 6-6. Penn State 9-3, and Miami 11-1. Tonight I picked Ohio State because they've had a lot of changes this year. But also, when I did a few weeks back, my Power 4 teams over-under, I did every single team. Ohio State was picked at 9.5 games. Hey there, Maryland. Glad to have you here. Hey there, Kaya. Glad to have you here. But seeing Ohio State picked to go, 9.5 wins is kind of shocking, because, they're a top 5 team every year, top 10 team. But if they only win 9 games, they're not going to be top 5. Probably won't be top 10. So I thought, okay, let's look at their schedule and see what I can come up with, because, they lost their offensive coordinator, and now they've got Arthur Smith, who used to be the Falcons head coach, and then he was the Steelers offensive coordinator. Now he's in college. He is extremely, extremely, extremely conservative. I mean, bad conservative, which is what Ryan Day likes. He likes coaches that can move the football. If you have to punt, but don't turn it over. And Arthur Smith's not going to call many plays that might cause the ball to be turned over. But, as long as you can do that and you have a great defense, you can win. And that's how the Buckeyes were so good last year, because their defense was, if it wasn't number 1 in the country, it had to be top 5. I didn't look at how the final season rankings came out, but I know the Buckeyes were top 5 in defense all year long. If you got a top 5 defense, if you score 20 points a game, you're going to win the majority of your games. It's just not going to be flashy, especially this day and time when everybody likes to see points being scored. Unfortunately, Kay, I can't answer that because of all the YouTube restrictions. If you play a song on here, YouTube will, notify me and penalize me for it. So without hearing the song, I can't react to it, and I can't hear the song because I'll get penalized for it. So I really can't say, I'll react to it, because I'm not going to be able to hear it. So I don't know if I could react, how I would react. But I do appreciate you asking. But, they also lost a ton of talent. Ohio State just had the most players drafted in the NFL draft. They had, I believe, 11 players drafted. So that tells you how different their team and the roster is going to look this year, with 11 players being drafted. But Bo Jackson will be their starting running back. They'll also have Isaiah West and legend Bay. By the way, what a great name, Legend Bay. Jeremiah Smith is back at wide receivers. He's going to have help this year from Chris Henry. Matt Patricia is still the defensive coordinator. And, of course, Julian Sayin is still the quarterback. They open up the season. Hey there, Mr. Interesting. And I'm trying to pronounce it the way you spelt it. You didn't spell it interesting. You spelt it interesting. So I'll pronounce it interesting. Glad to have you here. And I think you're new to the channel as well. So glad to have you here on this Thursday evening. They open up the season with their 3 non-conference games and get them out of the way. September 5th, Ball State. September 12th, they play Texas again. Remember, this past year they played and looked like that game was going to be first team to 10 points wins the game. Oh, Ohio State ended up winning the game late with a great defense. And then September 19th, they play Kent State. And that's their 3 non-conference games. And then they open up conference play at home on the 26th of September against Illinois. And then October 3rd, they go on the road to Iowa. October 10th, back at home against Maryland. October 17th, they're at Indiana. And then they're off the following weekend. So 7 games, and then their bye week. And then Halloween, they go to USC. Then they open up the month of November on the 7th against Oregon. On the 14th of November, they play Northwestern. On the 21st of November, they go to Nebraska. And then they wrap up the regular season, as always, November 28th, Halloween weekend against Michigan. So in conference, they go on the road 4 times. They go to Iowa, to Bloomington, Indiana, to USC, and then they go to Nebraska. So I got to look over their schedule, and with all the talent they lost, I just don't see how they don't get a little bit worse on both sides of the ball. I think the defense is still going to be really, really good, but I just don't think it's going to be as good as it was last year. And even though I do think Julian Sayin is going to improve a little bit, Arthur Smith is so conservative, we're not going to be able to see how much he's actually improved because Arthur Smith is not going to let him do a whole lot. But I think the offense will be good in general. So, hey there, Chesley. Glad to have you back. I believe you were here last night, so that'd be back-to-back nights. You commented in the comment section. I appreciate that as always, Chesley. You know, Chesley, I was thinking last night, I said, you know, that Chesley has probably told me their name 4 or 5 times, and I still cannot remember what it is. So that's why I still refer to you as Chesley. Maybe one day your actual name will sink in, but for some reason it's just not sticking in my head. So I got the Buckeyes going 9-3 overall, 7-2 in the Big Ten. Chesley, I hate to hear that. Don't tell me that. I hate to hear bad news. Can't stand to hear bad news anytime. I've got them going 9-3 overall, 7-2 in the Big Ten. I think Texas gets their revenge from last year. I think Texas is going to get just a little bit better on offense, but I think Ohio State's going to get a little bit worse on defense, and I think it'll be another low-scoring game, but I think this time Texas gets their revenge. And then in conference, I've got them losing to Indiana, and I've got them losing the final game of the season to Michigan, because I think Michigan is going to be a little bit better this year. And for whatever reason, when Michigan is average, for whatever reason now, Ryan Day just can't beat them. So I think Michigan beats them. But as I always say, who they lose to really in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter. It's what I have their overall record being. If I say they go 9-3, if they go 9-3, if they win all 3 games, I said they lose, it doesn't matter. I still had the record correct. So I've got them going 7-2 in the Big Ten with conference losses to Indiana and Michigan, 9-3 overall with that non-conference loss to Texas. So if the over/under is 9.5 with the Buckeyes, I've got them under because I see them going 9-3, and we know how the Buckeyes are always a top 5 team. If they go 9-3, their fans are going to be wanting Ryan Day fired. So they better hope that I'm wrong and they go at least 10-2, but I've got them going 9-3. Any more thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What do you call a horse that lives next door? A neighbor. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. That's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family